Their skin is pale, their hands are cold. They only come out at night. People fear them, for it is said they will drink your blood. Are they real demonic creatures? Or is it a sad and tragic story? In tonight's episode, we are talking about vampires.
Good evening, dear listeners, and welcome to They Come Before Dawn. I am your host, Laurens.
And I am your co-host, Rei.
And this night's episode, we'll be talking about vampires.
But first, Laurens, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, Rei?
I'm good as well, yes, of course. I'm very excited to talk about this subject.
Yeah, vampires is something that's very interesting to the both of us.
Yes, indeed. It actually is.
Yeah,
Because...
as a matter of fact, we saw each other yesterday.
Yes.
Which was a Sunday.
Exactly.
The Lord's Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and that particular Sunday, we played a game called...
Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, Vampire.
It's a tabletop RPG, which we have been playing for about 2 years now.
Yeah, I believe that word. Yeah, that's correct. That's actually the way we really became friends. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, happy friendship anniversary, Laurens, because this month I saw it when I got a memory from Google Pictures, Google Photos, and it's actually this month that we know each other for 2 years.
Okay.
So happy friendship anniversary!
Congratulations! You caught me a bit off guard, so congratulations.
Yes, I just got reminded because you said that.
Oh.
So yeah.
Okay. Don't really know. Google Pictures. You took a picture of us now?
Yeah. Well, not of us, but of Astrid's dog, and that was at her previous place where we met.
One of the first times we met. Oh,
that was the
okay.
first time we met, so that's how I remembered.
Okay, that's
I thought I should mention that.
Yeah,
I'm happy I thought about it now because I actually kind of forgot. I think it was 2 days ago or something.
Okay, so that would be the 19th of June, so we should always keep that date in mind.
You help us remember that, listeners.
The 19th of June.
Mark it in your... No, don't do that.
Don't mark it in camera. Please don't.
So yeah, we were playing Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, yesterday.
We've been playing the same campaign for about a year and a half now, and we're still enjoying it.
Yeah, we are both on our second character though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, indeed.
And you play a Malkavian.
I play a Malkavian, and you play a Tremere.
Yes, that's correct. So my character is the ritualistic warlock type of wizard. Vampire.
Wizard?
It's not a wizard.
Wizard.
So I play the warlock type of vampire.
Yes.
And you play the crazy cuckoo banana vampire.
Yeah, well, I don't play it like super crazy, of course, but she's really strong, and now she has recently begun to have premonitions, visions.
Yeah, so that's the path you use as
a Malkavian.
As a Malkavian.
Exactly. If you don't know what we are talking about, I highly suggest that you go and check it out. If you're interested in games like Dungeons and Dragons, for example, or Pathfinder, then you will probably enjoy this one as well.
Yeah. If you think Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder is a medieval type of fantasy game, I enjoy playing those games, but I would really like to do it in a modern day setting with vampires, with the limitations of being awake at night and asleep in the day. If that's something that really is interesting to you, then Vampire the Masquerade is obviously a very good beginning.
Exactly, indeed. And if you are thinking about starting a campaign and you need another player, I don't know about you, Laurens, but you can always give me, Rei, a DM on Instagram, because I'm always interested to play.
Oh, and I play, my type of guy is, my vampire is sort of a cult leader. Not sort of, he is a cult leader. And I use that with your character, actually.
Yes, because my character has now joined the cult.
Yeah, been recruited by the cult. But we're very peaceful and loving.
Yes. We're not evil. We're not. Yeah. I hope that you're not evil.
I decided to embrace the mentality of not being snobbish about being a vampire.
Yeah.
Not being like, oh, I'm a vampire, so I'm immortal and I'm better than someone who is not a vampire. I've decided that the way the whole cult is gonna look at mortality versus immortality is that we both need to embrace each other to live. And I told you about the cows, that I think one of the most expensive beef in the world.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's Wagyu beef, actually.
I have no clue. I
think it's a Japanese
so.
specialty, Wagyu beef. But I'm not 100% sure. I could be talking out of my ass.
I'm not an expert.
And what they do is they have obviously cows.
Mm-hmm.
And they really pamper these cows. They really treat them very well. They get a lot of massages. The meat is very tender because of the massages, but they also have special food, and they're just well taken care of.
Yes.
Which
exactly.
translates to very high quality beef.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of fucked up and kind of morbid of me, but that's the mentality that I use in my cult. If we take care of our food source,
which is humans,
obviously,
in the campaign, just to make sure,
FBI don't listen. If we take care of our food source, it's all for the better. So that's my join my cult talk for this episode.
Exactly. It's actually Vampire the Masquerade that got me interested in vampires.
Yeah.
Because I've mentioned it before, I think, that in my teenage years I used to be goth and stuff, and a lot of goths are actually very interested in vampires, but I think I was a little different in that case. I was more of a werewolf person, so...
Oh, so Team Jacob.
No, Teen Wolf, like Team Stilinski, bitch.
Okay. Teen Wolf, yeah.
Yes, I absolutely loved Teen Wolf. I was also born on a full moon, so I always felt more connected with my werewolf side than my vampire side.
Okay.
But Vampire the Masquerade definitely changed that, even though I'm still, werewolf people.
But there are werewolves in Vampire the Masquerade.
True, but we haven't encountered them.
We shouldn't encounter them.
Okay.
It won't end well.
Okay. So yeah, that is what got me interested in vampires again, and I actually found some very interesting stories for tonight.
Yeah. Should we start with the first one then?
Yes, okay. For this story, we're actually going back a few centuries to the 19th century. And this story takes place in Exeter, Rhode Island, United States. In Rhode Island and other parts of New England, there was actually a pandemic taking place. Not the one that we know
currently in, but...
Yeah, but it was tuberculosis, but then known as consumption in America.
Yeah, it's still active today, tuberculosis.
Yeah, but...
It's not been eradicated yet, but not on the scale that it was at that time.
Exactly. So the illness affected the lungs mainly, like breathing became difficult, people like coughed a lot and coughed blood as well, like they grew tired, thin, weak, and it literally took their life force away. And the illness was actually called consumption because of the weight loss, like it literally consumed a person.
I think that parts of the lungs die because of consumption, which is the reason why people have difficulty breathing.
Oh yeah, that could be.
If you have half of a lung, then obviously you won't be able to breathe that good as if you had a full lung.
Exactly. So there wasn't a cure, and doctors said that patients should rest, eat healthy, like take a walk, but obviously like they just didn't do a thing.
Doctors at that time described heroin for a bunch of different things, so medicine and healthcare wasn't really
that great,
that progressed as it was now.
Exactly. So the people obviously became more and more afraid and came up with theories of their own. They actually thought that passed away family members took the life force of living family members or other villagers to stay alive, quote unquote alive, as an undead creature. And they gave these undead creatures a name, vampires. So during this pandemic, there was a family that lived in a small village of Exeter, the Brown family. George and Mary Eliza Brown were well-respected farmers, just living their normal lives. Sadly, tuberculosis got to Mary Eliza and she passed away in 1883. And a few years later, their eldest daughter, Mary Olive, died of the same cause. Now, if this wasn't bad enough for the poor family, their son Edwin got the disease as well in 1890. And his father George, he wasn't planning on just watching his son waste away. So he actually sent him to the Colorado Springs Sanitarium, where they wanted to treat people with tuberculosis. Saying the warmer climate would help.
Yeah, they believe that.
Yeah.
It had a good effect on the lungs, which it's obvious is.
I mean, it probably wasn't making it worse,
it would
but
make
it probably,
it worse.
Yeah, probably wasn't.
But it's
making
not
it any better.
really the cure for that.
So while Edwin was at the sanitarium, their youngest daughter got infected as well and passed away in January 1892 at the age of 19.
So that's 3 children down.
Yes. And this youngest daughter, her name was Mercy Brown.
She's the title character of your part of the story now.
Yes, Mercy Brown. Now, the villagers of Exeter grew more and more scared. Doctors couldn't find out why this family in particular was suffering so much from the disease. Because, like you said, 3 children had already... No, two children had
2
passed.
children and a mother.
And a mother, yes.
Yeah.
And Edwin was in the sanitarium at that time. So the other villagers came up with their theory. They thought, we know what is going on. Like, we know what's going on. So they believed the illness wasn't just an illness. They thought it was something dark, something demonic. The people believed that Edwin's mother or one of his sisters was an undead creature. So something that lived between heaven and hell. Someone who sucked the life force out of Edwin to preserve their own.
Is that something that you find logical?
Of course.
That people at that time, who were very religious, obviously, held on to a belief that it could possibly be a demonic or an undead creature?
Yes, it's logical for that time.
Okay. I think so as well.
Yeah.
Well, it was.
Of course, there are still a lot of religious people out there, but back then it was so different. And yeah, I think if we would have lived in that time, we probably would have thought the exact same thing.
Yeah, I believe so as well. I think it's a good way to look at human psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you are, or you or the people around you, see a family be so struck by a disease, which is obviously a horrendous disease, consumption, which was sometimes even called galloping consumption.
Oh, I did come across that term, I think.
Galloping consumption, I believe,
be.
because a person wasted away so fast by this disease.
Mm-hmm.
It was also called wasting disease.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting to me how people in that scenario would think, if we are so struck by this disease, it must be something supernatural. It must be a demonic thing. It must be something that we have no power over.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
Well, I'm happy that we don't think that way anymore, or at least most of us don't.
Yeah.
There's still people.
Obviously.
But yeah, of course, we have to thank that to science and, the medical world.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it? That has gotten so much better and improved so much in such a short time, actually. Because, I mean, this is like not even 150 years ago.
Yeah, that's correct.
So
yeah, that's
actually not that long if you imagine that. Like,
no.
So yeah.
Because if you think about it, the First World War was over 100 years ago.
Yeah, a little
which
over
isn't
100
really
years now.
that long ago.
No.
This story precedes that by 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, right?
That's so crazy.
I think that's absolutely crazy. I didn't even think of it like that.
Yeah.
Like when you say World War One, yeah, exactly. This was around 30 to 40 years before World War One. So yeah, the people of Exeter thought the Brown family was dealing with a vampire. In March 1892, the villagers convinced George Brown, who didn't believe the vampire theory at first, by the way, to dig up the graves of the mother, Mary Eliza, and their eldest daughter, Mary Olive. When they did that, they saw that their bodies were in an early stage of decomposition, and that was enough for townspeople to be like, okay.
Because how long were they dead at that point?
I think the mother was around 10 years, yes.
Yeah. So it would be very logical for her to be practically decompose that.
Exactly. So that was enough for the townspeople to believe, like, okay, these are not the vampires that we're looking for.
They didn't have anything to do with it.
No. But of course, one remains, and that is Mercy. The people of Exeter decided to dig up her grave as well and discovered that her body was still in perfect condition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this could sound a little bit odd, but...
how long was she dead until that point?
We're getting there.
You get there.
We're getting there.
Okay.
So, according to some sources, her body was in no stage of decomposition, like nothing, and there was still fresh blood in her heart and veins.
Okay.
Sounds a bit weird, right? Well, it was winter, and it was only 2 months after her death,
Yeah.
and her grave was above ground. So it was actually very natural for her body to be in quite a decent shape.
Wasn't she laying in a mausoleum?
Was it a mausoleum? I'm not too sure.
The conditions were practically like we have in our modern day morgues.
Yeah.
Like she would be not frozen, but she would be in a chilled state of
Exactly.
being, which is how we handle our corpses.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, I'm not sure if it was actually a mausoleum or just an above ground grave.
Yeah.
But either way, it was natural for her body to stay in such good shape for so long.
Especially in winter.
Yeah, exactly. And this even got confirmed by a doctor who was present at the time.
That says a lot
Yeah,
about
so,
the time.
yeah.
So people knew what decomposition, how it sort of goes.
Well, they didn't know, but the doctor was.
Obviously,
like,
the doctor knew that a body that stays in the conditions that her body was in, especially in winter, would have been decomposing at a rate that she would have been in summer.
But the villagers decided to ignore his medical expertise because there was one thing that was indeed a little suspicious. Her body was not in the same position.
What do you mean she wasn't in the same position?
Her when she was buried.
So the body was flipped, or
Mercy Brown was lying on her side in her coffin.
They left her presumably on her back.
Probably, yeah. I mean, that sounds logical, right? So apparently when they opened the grave, she was on her side. That and the fact that there was fresh blood in her heart was enough for the townspeople to believe that she actually was the vampire that sucked out Edwin's life force to maintain her own.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is. Now, I haven't found a logical explanation, but it was an above ground grave.
Her body could have been disturbed before.
It could have been, like, who knows? I mean, and also it's just something that was said. Like, there's no evidence to us right now.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been the people be like, oh yeah, I was there, and I saw that her body was on the side. Like, yeah, I don't know if people in Rhode Island. I don't know if people in Rhode Island speak like that, but I just wanted to do something. So yeah, the residents of Exeter, including George Brown, decided to cut her heart out of her body and cremate it. Yeah. According to some sources, her lungs and or liver were burned as well, but that wasn't the case for every source that I found.
Yeah.
Now, if that doesn't seem bad enough yet, which to me it does, but no, apparently it had to become worse. They actually decided to mix the ashes of her heart with water and make a sort of tonic and have it drunk by the sick Edwin. Yeah.
Tasty.
So they actually hoped that the ashes of a vampire heart could cure his disease. Now, needless to say, their ritual failed and Edwin Brown passed away from tuberculosis after all in May of 1892.
So we can be safe to say that the tonic didn't work.
It most definitely didn't work.
Okay. But it could have been a second vampire.
Yeah,
They didn't think about that, right?
No.
They did look into the second vampire, so I mean that vampire could still be at large.
Yeah, who knows? No, but I mean it's safe to say that obviously.
Yeah, obviously it didn't.
Obviously, it was Mercy Brown was not a vampire. Now, after mutilating Mercy's body, and I'm saying mutilating because
it is.
I feel she was dead, but it's very disrespectful to me. So she was reburied. At least she got that, I guess. near the church of Exeter, where she hopefully now rests in peace. So even though her life was short, this story will like forever continue to exist. Her grave actually is often visited by tourists and other curious people. And now and then people leave something behind. For example, jewelry, flowers, plastic fangs even. And apparently there once was a note that said, "You go, girl." So that was like, okay.
I want to visit her grave.
I would like to, but I'm not gonna
once
go to
Once we
America.
decide to do a road trip into America, once we're world famous podcasters,
of course,
obviously, and we have the
obviously.
money for it, I would really
Yes.
love to see her resting place.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that as well. So, yeah, like I said, I think it's really horrible that even though there was a doctor present, the villagers were still like, nah, it's a vampire, let's
But it
cut
is
her heart out.
It is mob mentality, though. It's mob mentality. So the mob decides. Mob mentality is a mob is
sheep,
very
sheep.
sheep.
Yeah,
One
of course.
person suggests something, and a second person agrees with it, and the ball goes. The ball rolls on.
Of course. So yeah, we said that, you know, for that time it's logical to think like, oh, vampires, but I do think it's another thing to actually go and mutilate a corpse. I'm not sure, like, so they were different times. I can understand the father, like, he was desperate, he had only had one son left.
Obviously, he wanted to.
He just wanted to try something.
Yeah.
He didn't even believe the vampire theory at first. Like, he was like, what the hell are you talking about? But he was desperate. I can kind of understand, I guess. But I just imagine a whole crowd of like townspeople being all angry at a dead corpse, being like, cut her heart out, like burn it.
Pitchforks and torches.
That's literally what I imagine.
Yeah.
And,
but they were probably desperate as well.
I mean,
They
yeah.
were probably afraid that, just to play devil's advocate here,
Yeah, but
there's not really that much positive about it, but they were probably scared that
I mean,
once
obviously.
the vampire Mercy Brown finished her family, that she would start attacking and sucking the life out of their families.
I mean, probably that's probably what they thought, but still,
It's
And then there was a doctor present. I mean, this doctor probably has something like, dude, like what am I even doing here?
yeah, but different.
Poor doctors at that time, like what the hell. So yeah, rest in peace, Mercy Brown and her family, I guess. Now, Mercy's exhumation was actually the last of its kind in New England, which is why Mercy Brown is called the last vampire of New England.
Okay, the last vampire of New England. That's a very interesting title. It's a badass title to be called the last vampire of a place.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
It's crazy that tuberculosis really ravages a family and a town that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I found some different diseases that could maybe shed a different light on the whole vampirism, and
Other diseases that are also linked
that
to
could also be
vampires. Oh.
could also explain it for a bit.
Okay, I'm curious to hear.
So obviously I had 3 diseases, but you described tuberculosis so good that obviously whatever
I didn't
it's
describe it in detail, but
yeah, but it's obvious it is a disease, a lung disease.
yeah, you give
makes
a general idea.
yeah, it's a good description of the disease. I also found now let me try to do it in one take and to say it good, to say it very good. It's a disease called Porphyria cutanea tarda. I'll just call it PCT.
PCT.
So PCT, sometimes called the vampire disease,
Oh.
is a blood disorder that affects the skin. So PCT is a type of blood disease that makes the creation of heme difficult. So heme is a component of hemoglobin, and hemoglobin, you never learned that in biology. Hemoglobin
I
is
didn't get
it's a
much.
protein in red blood cells. So it's what makes our blood red.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Carries oxygen, so it gives us the red color. And the symptoms of PCT appear on the skin, so it causes photosensitivity. Blisters appear on area exposed to the sun and cause hyperpigmentation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've actually think I saw a documentary about that when I was not a kid but a teenager.
Yeah. So PCT is a disease that obviously irritates the skin and makes a person go into blisters and burns. So it's logical that people with this disease wouldn't prefer to stay indoors.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I think they're literally not even able to go outside, right?
Yeah, they're able to, but it's not pleasant.
Well, yeah, obviously not. Oh my god.
It's not pleasant. And like also the hyperpigmentation, which causes it's not, you see it with old people a lot. The blotches that they get on their skin.
It's like vertigo. That's also a sort of
hyperpigmentation,
right?
Yeah, it's different, but it's along the same lines.
Okay.
It also makes the skin harden, more leathery. So it's a really destructive disease for the skin.
Yeah. Ooh. Doesn't sound fun. Yeah.
So you can understand where we get the whole staying indoors at day, going out at night.
Yeah.
Burning, blistering in the sun, photosensitivity.
Very vampire.
Yeah, very vampire-like.
Yes, exactly.
Another disease you probably know, rabies.
I have heard of that.
Yeah,
Obviously.
you have dogs, so you should be knowledgeable about rabies.
Exactly.
So rabies is a viral disease.
Not that they have that, just a disclaimer.
No, yeah, but it would be bad if they had that. Rabies is a viral disease that affects the brain and the central nervous system. So rabies is transmitted through infected saliva, like a bite.
Yeah.
A person who is infected with rabies, or I'm not a person in this example, but animals are the same.
Yeah.
In that. They will act more paranoid, be more agitated, hallucinate, become extremely violent towards others. So rabies will also cause people to become hydrophobic.
What is hydrophobic?
Hydrophobic is fear of water.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have seen videos of, sadly, of people infected with rabies this is obviously the hydrophobia is in a very late stage of the disease.
Yeah, okay.
They are given a glass of water and they are asked to drink of that glass of water, and they start shaking violently with the water in their hands. They can't open their mouth. They're absolutely terrified of that water.
There are videos that show that's
sadly
that's disturbing.
it is pretty disturbing.
Or was it
Obviously, because of the rabies is deadly. If you're
Yeah.
infected with rabies, you will die.
I actually saw a documentary once about a girl who survived.
Yeah, if she survived, it's because of in the early stages, and they were very fast.
They were very fast because she, if I remember correctly, she was held in a coma for quite a long time, and obviously when she woke up, and long after, she was not the same girl anymore.
Obviously it's a brain disease.
A lot of brain damage.
Yeah.
But I mean, she lived.
If you were to be bitten by a wild animal, you should always go to the hospital, to the emergency room. We have vaccines against rabies.
Yeah. We're all vaccinated against that in Belgium, right?
No?
No. Isn't that something you get when you're little?
No, hepatitis.
But rabies too, right?
No, I don't think we're infected by rabies because rabies is pretty rare.
Oh, okay.
But it is common enough. If you get bitten by a wild animal, you should always go to the emergency room. Tell them you've been bitten by a wild animal. They will give you a rabies vaccine.
And is that?
They're not gonna test your blood to see if you have rabies. They'll just give you the vaccine.
And is it?
It's the same with hepatitis.
If you're bitten, like, and it's bleeding, or also if you're bitten
and
it's not bleeding.
Coming into contact with saliva is enough. Because it is transmitted by saliva. Obviously, if you were bitten, created a wound, that would be how the virus transmits. But also, if you have a partner, for instance, who is infected by rabies and you kiss them, that could also transmit the disease. So the hydrophobia,
Yeah.
and I think it's such a weird part about the disease, and I looked into that a bit more.
It is.
And I found a sort of logical explanation for it. It isn't really that the person is afraid of the water, it is just that the sight of the water, the thought, sometimes it's just thinking about water, creates such a cramping in the jaw and creates such a violent reaction because the brain sort of links the water to choking on water. So which makes sure that the person clenches the jaw, but also prevents your saliva from being swallowed. So the virus in your saliva stays in your mouth. It isn't, it would always stay in a certain degree in your mouth, but if you weren't capable of swallowing, then your mouth is just a breeding ground for that virus. So if you were to transmit it, the disease would be more capable of transmission. Also a thing about rabies, like raccoons, they have rabies a lot. Bats also have rabies a lot. If a wild animal approaches you, it could be because they're affected by rabies. A wild animal infected by rabies finds other animals, looks and tries to find different animals and different people.
So is it like an option, like for example, if a raccoon were to come up to you to throw water at it and make it scared? Is that a thing?
Only holy water, and only if it's been blessed by a priest.
Holy water, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
No, but
I think, if I remember correctly, the hydrophobia is something that only happens with humans.
Okay.
So, but I think if a wild animal approaches you, the best thing wouldn't be to just throw water at you. That would be a weird reflex.
Yeah, but maybe still. I mean, I don't think raccoons like water, right? And bats.
Raccoons. You know what raccoons do with their food?
No.
They wash their food.
Oh.
If they get food, they dip it in water.
Okay, so. But that doesn't mean it likes to be splashed with water, right?
It isn't afraid of water.
Oh, okay. Well. I guess I would die then if I encounter a wild animal. So Mercy Brown's story was the last, as in the last Emperor of New England. It definitely wasn't the first. This happened actually during the entire pandemic. So in 1799, the body of Sarah Tillinghast was exhumed after it was said that she was a vampire as well. Now, I read her story, obviously, and it sounds a little less logical than the story of Mercy Brown.
Yeah.
So here it goes. Stockley Tillinghast provided for his wife Honor and their children by selling apples and peaches from their orchard.
Wait, so the wife is called Honor?
Yeah, if I pronounce it right.
Yeah, you pronounced it correctly, but Honor. Honor, and she obviously had a sister called Duty and a brother called Justice.
I guess? Probably not.
Probably not.
So they had 12 kids in total, so we're back at the big families.
Yeah.
The youngest was born in 1790. They seemed to be a happy, normal family until the father, Stockley, started suffering from horrible nightmares. In his dreams, he was standing in front of his orchard. He heard one of his daughters, Sarah, call out to him, but when he turned around to see her, he only saw some leaves rolling around, but nothing else. And when he turned back to his trees, he saw that the leaves were turning brown and the fruit was rotting. And exactly half of his orchard was rotten.
So if you believe in dreams and their symbolism,
Exactly.
it's something to keep in the back of your mind.
Exactly. The dreams were so vivid that he actually woke up in terror, and Honor, his wife, calmed him down. But the nightmares kept returning like night after night, and eventually he went to a local priest for help. Now the priest said that he was actually suffering from anxiety for the upcoming harvest season, but Stugly wasn't very convinced by this. Now, when the harvest season was over, the nightmares actually did seem to stop as well.
So it could be...
It could be,
correct.
like, it sounds like anxiety, right? Now, one of their daughters, Sarah Tillinghast, which appeared in the dream as well, she had just turned 19. She kind of kept to herself a lot. Like, she worked really hard in the orchard and in the household. And besides that, she liked to read or do some stitch work. So she was rather quiet, but hardworking.
An introvert.
Exactly. So after the harvest season of 1799, Sarah seemed to stay in her room more and more often. Until she actually only came downstairs to eat with her family. So her family was like, okay, she's always been kind of to herself, but this is kind of weird. So they got a doctor involved, and she got diagnosed with tuberculosis. And yeah, just a few weeks later, she passed away. So there was nothing to do for her. So by spring, a few weeks after her death, her youngest brother, James, started to have pain around his chest. Now, he went to his parents, and he said that Sarah had touched him there.
That's not really that remarkable.
But Sarah has been dead for a few weeks.
He said that she touched him recently then.
Yes.
Oh, that's remarkable.
And soon after that, James passed away.
Okay.
Now, it didn't take long before the other children of the family also became sick. There was Laurens and Rei, two of Sarah's sisters, who said that Sarah came to visit them at night, saying that she was cold. And soon after this visit, both Laurens and Rei
both of them died as well.
Passed away.
Also from tuberculosis.
Well, yes, but of course.
But they passed away. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 4 children dead.
Exactly. Now, the family was in deep mourning, obviously, and they believed that they were cursed by an evil spirit. So again, Stugly went to the priest for help, but this priest tried to convince Stugly that it wasn't a curse and that God would help him. Now, Stugly was like,
I'll take my chances.
4 of my kids are dead.
Yeah.
I don't think God is gonna do much more for me.
Okay.
So, yeah. Now, the Tillinghast already had children that moved out of the house. So there was the 26-year-old Hannah, who lived a few miles from the childhood home. When she received the news about her family, she began spending more time with them.
She
obviously.
came home.
Yeah. And not long after, she started seeing Sarah at night as well. Just standing there at the end of her bed. Like, Sarah didn't say anything to her, she was just standing there.
Like a shadow person.
Not like a shadow person.
No, not like...
a full-on apparition.
Yeah, okay.
It was Sarah. And you can maybe guess it, but Hannah got sick and died as well.
Okay. It's a bit morbid to keep count, but that's 5 of 12 children dead at this point.
Exactly. Now, this isn't where it ends. The mother, Honor, and the eldest son, Ezra, I'm not sure if he lived at the house still or
was always, or if he was already married and lived with his wife somewhere else.
Not, I didn't find it in the research.
It's a long time ago.
Exactly. So they both became sick after getting visions of Sarah at night as well. So like the whole family basically was like, we're getting visions, and then they die. So both of them were like, okay, we are seeing Sarah, we're gonna die. So Stugly, like, he was done. He was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. And he actually went to a friend and fellow farmer called Jeremiah Dandridge, and he asked Jeremiah for help. So
the fact that we know this man's name, it's a bad foreboding. I think something's bad's gonna happen.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, obviously, but... I mean...
Yeah. That's the way the story is going.
So, Jeremiah told Stugly about an old tale where the dead rose from their graves to torment their families. Jeremiah also spoke about how to break the curse. Stugly, who was convinced that this was what was happening to his family, like, he was like, I know what to do. So together with a few other men, they visited his family grave and started digging up everyone.
Everyone. Every one of the 5 people who died at that point.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I don't know if they also dug up previous, like family members who previously died.
Who were already dead.
That was
the story.
That's unknown.
Yeah,
So all the bodies seem to be in a quite far state of decomposition, but one, the body of Sarah. By now, she had been buried for 6 months, so that's a lot longer than Mercy.
Yeah, she was the first who died.
She was the first in the family who died, exactly. So she had been buried for 6 months, but her body seemed to be in an almost perfect state. Her skin was pale, but there was like a blush on her cheeks, and her eyes were open.
Her eyes were open.
Exactly. Now, I've heard this before. I don't know.
That eyes are open? The body is buried with its eyes open?
Or
I think
muscle reflexes? Isn't that possible? But I know in modern days they sew the eyes shut, right?
I think that's a practice that's really old. I think that goes back to ancient Greece.
Oh, could be.
I think eyes were always closed.
Well, her eyes were open.
Her eyes were open.
So yeah.
Because obviously she was a vampire,
So Stuckley was standing above Sarah's grave, his eyes filling up with tears, and he decided to cut out his daughter's heart and burn it. Now, after this, no one seemed to experience more visions of Sarah. However, Ezra, the oldest son, was too sick to recover and passed away from tuberculosis after all.
Makes the count.
Stuckley thought back of his nightmares, where half of his orchard was rotten and now 6 of his children were dead. Exactly. I didn't think you would figure it out, but there you are.
I am sometimes capable of a bit of an intelligent thought.
When I read the story, I didn't figure it out. I was like, oh my god, it's true, it's half of his... But I'm not the brightest person out there, so... You are. Don't sell yourself short. Oh.
So this is the complete story of Sarah.
Well, Honor, the mother, was lucky enough to recover, and they actually ended up getting 2 more children.
Oh, obviously.
Because in that time, that was like, obviously they needed a lot of children.
This is a very interesting tale. I think it's not true.
Sarah and her siblings were reburied, and even though their gravestones are really small and discreet, they're still there. You can visit them. Yeah. So
it's very difficult for me because the story you just told me it really screams written.
Mm-hmm.
It's like reading a book.
Yeah.
Our protagonist, who's the father, has a bad dream in which he has a sort of premonition about, if you interpreted it, half of his family dying.
Exactly.
Then his first daughter, presumably the villain in our story, comes back to kill her siblings, who always say that the daughter is the one who's to blame at this point. Then this Jeremiah character comes in and tells our protagonist, who has no information about vampires, tells him the crucial information about vampires, which obviously clicks, which is obviously the situation and the solution to this problem. And then by using his instructions, saves the half of his family.
Exactly. Now, I think the story is true. However, I think it's a little, obviously, probably over-exaggerated. Because it happens. It's with so many stories. You tell one thing to one person, they tell it to the next person, and tell it, like, 10 people further, it's a completely different story. So I think it actually happened because it was a thing. The vampires, like, they thought that back then. Tuberculosis was obviously a thing, still is, in a way. But the visions, That's probably maybe the little brother James.
Yeah.
I think that he's a kid and he's like having nightmares of Sarah because his sister died, and he tells his parents, but obviously the sickness was already in the family, so he got sick, passed away. It was a coincidence. The other kids were like, oh my god, yeah, we see Sarah as well, but they're probably also mourning, they're also having nightmares, and
they're
who
just
knows?
children.
Exactly. Now I actually have heard of people having the same kind of dreams or hallucinations. It apparently is something that happens, just it's incredibly rare, and especially with more people. Like you hear it like with twins or something. That's a common thing. That's a common thing. But apparently it has happened with multiple people, but it's very rare. Was this such a case? Who knows?
Yeah.
Even so, I think it's really creepy. And obviously I also hope that if it's true and if they really existed, that they found their peace.
Yeah.
Eventually.
This story is probably true. The family, I mean, I'm not saying that none of these 12 children died this way. It's probably just an exaggeration of the story, is maybe a bad way to say it. But I think if we would be able to read the original story, it would be so different than the story you just told me.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think that the original story was really written down. It was probably just told by people and then told to different... And that's how we came to...
I think if we were capable of talking to the father, which we aren't, but if we would be capable of talking to the father, if the way he would tell the story would be so different than what we've heard now.
Probably. But yeah, that's the story of Sarah Tillinghast.
I have a couple of vampires to talk about as well. Because you really wanted to talk about Mercy Brown. Like the previous episode about Shadow People, decided to focus on different cultures more. So I have a couple of vampires I wanted to talk to and show you, actually, because I have pictures and such.
I'm very curious. Where can the listeners find these pictures?
We'll make sure that every picture that I'll show you is available on our Instagram as well.
And what is our Instagram?
Our Instagram, where was it again? No, our Instagram is at TheyComeBeforeDawn.
Exactly. They come before dawn.
Yeah.
Oh, and a little shout out to Mina, who you will probably heard on the background.
So the first vampire is called the Jiangshi. I'll show you a picture right now, but you perhaps have any idea what part of the world it could be about? The name sort of gives it away.
I have not looked at your research, but Jiangshi sounds kind of Chinese.
It is Chinese.
I'm good.
I'll show you the picture right now and just describe the entity.
Okay. How am I going to describe that? So I think it's a man.
That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a woman as well, of course, but in this picture it seems to be a man. The clothing seems pretty traditional Chinese. I think I've seen something like this in a movie.
It is traditional Qing dynasty clothing.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was not able to say what dynasty exactly like. The picture is in black and white, except for one piece on his head that seems to have some red. His eyes are white, and he has really long fangs. So his mouth is closed, but his fangs are like...
And what's, except the strip of paper on his forehead, what's a very interesting characteristic about this vampire as well? We have some different pictures on the sidebar. What's the thing that's...
The hands?
The hands.
Yeah. The hands are like... In every picture, the hands are like a mummy, like they represent
like
a mummy.
Like a zombie.
Or a zombie,
like a zombie. So that's an interesting characteristic. So, as I said, the Jiangshi is a creature of Chinese mythology, like you have pointed out, cross between a zombie and a vampire, sort of.
Yeah.
They are known as the Chinese hopping vampire. Hopping vampire. Because...
Oh, that's what you said yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I said yesterday. So, they are hopping vampires.
Oh.
The name Jiangshi literally means stiff corpse.
Stiff corpse.
Stiff corpse. So, It's a pretty fitting name because a jiangshi is a corpse in rigor mortis. So
In what?
rigor mortis, it's a state that your body goes through. If a person dies, after a certain time, the body becomes stiff.
Oh yeah.
That's rigor mortis.
Oh okay.
No, it's not as soon as you die, but after a couple of hours.
After a while,
Yeah. A corpse in rigor mortis, it's very difficult to move. I mean, a corpse could move, but if a corpse was able to move, but it's in rigor mortis, it would be very difficult to move.
Yeah.
So the jiangshi hops around. That's their way of traveling.
Oh, like it doesn't walk, but it actually.
It doesn't walk, it hops around.
Oh.
That's also the reason that they have their hands stretched out, like a zombie, is sort of for balance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of makes sense.
It
I
makes
guess.
sense.
Yeah.
The jiangshi kills creatures at night to absorb their chi.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like a vampire. It doesn't absorb blood, but it absorbs chi.
Okay, so it doesn't absorb any blood. Like
No.
it's mainly about the chi.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
about the chi.
Mm-hmm.
During the day, it rests in a coffin or hides in dark places such as caves. One theory of how a jiangshi themselves are made is at that time it was very expensive to transport a dead body. So when someone died, loved ones hired a Taoist priest. There's a Taoist Buddhism religion. A Taoist priest who performed a ritual to raise the dead and then teach the body to hop back to its family. Yeah.
Okay.
So you understand the vampire / zombie way of looking at it. So you understand where the crossover between a zombie and a vampire comes from. It absorbs chi
Mm-hmm.
and it is risen from the dead.
Risen.
It stretches its arms out. It's risen.
Oh, it has risen from the
Yeah,
dead.
it has risen from the
I
dead.
thought you said it has risen from the dead.
No.
The dead. Okay, I understand. I'm done.
So the priest would escort the bodies and announce its presence by ringing a bell. So imagine a Taoist priest walking around with a bunch of different hopping zombies, vampires, who announces its presence by ringing a bell.
Whoa, that's okay.
Yeah. Looking at a jiangshi was thought to be a bad omen. That's why they rung the bell.
To
So,
warn.
oh, you hear a bell. It could be a Taoist priest with some jiangshis. Don't look
Oh
over
my
there.
god.
Yeah. There are many more theories, such as a person being bitten by a jiangshi, which would cause a virus to slowly transform the bitten person into a jiangshi,
Yeah.
like a zombie.
Or a vampire.
Yeah, or a zombie, or a vampire zombie.
Or a werewolf.
If someone died of an improper death, such as being murdered, or the person was not buried after the funeral, they could also become a jiangshi.
Oh.
A lightning bolt striking the coffin and animating the body, like Frankenstein, would also create a jiangshi. Or a pregnant cat or a black cat leaping over the coffin.
What? A pregnant cat?
A pregnant cat or a black cat.
Poor pregnant cats.
Yeah. Just jumping over coffins.
Oh no!
But there are a couple of ways to deal with the jiangshi. Mirrors can be used because jiangshi are absolutely terrified of their own reflection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Fire can be used. A bell can also be rung. A Taoist talisman, which is the strip of paper on their forehead, can also be used as a immobilize to make sure that the body is not mobilized anymore. There are a bunch of more crazier methods, such as dropping a bag of coins. It causes the jiangshi to start counting the coins.
What? Just imagine.
Just
Okay.
throwing money around. So
Wow, have you seen Van Helsing? The series? Not the movie?
No.
Sorry, I haven't.
No, I
already
haven't.
spoke about it to you once. So, Van Helsing is like a post-apocalyptic
oh yeah,
series.
yeah, I know. Yeah. I haven't seen
And now I'm just,
the episodes.
I just recently saw it, that's why I'm imagining it now, but just imagine the apocalypse, and instead of the vampires that they have, you imagine young Shi, and instead of guns, they all have bags of
money
coins.
that they just throw around.
It would be a very interesting series. If anyone knows a series like that, let me know. I would actually really want to watch it.
What about a sword made out of Chinese coins, charged under the light of the moon to attack the vampire?
A sword that is made out of the coins
Yeah.
that is then charged under the moon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. That makes sense.
So it's a charged magical sword.
Yeah, because we also charge our crystals under the moon.
Yeah. You.
And with we, I
Yeah,
mean...
you. Yeah. There is...
It was a royal we.
The royal Louis. There is, however, some logical explanation, could be some logical explanation about it. There is a burial method which is used at that time, consisting of two men who work as a team.
Mm-hmm.
They transport the body at night, obviously because it's cooler at night.
Yeah.
One person carries the body on his back and it will be covered in a thick sheet. This is because someone looking at them would see that they're carrying a dead body.
Yeah.
It's impropriety,
Yeah.
improper to see a dead body, and it's also seen as a bad omen.
Yeah, of course.
But it's difficult to see with a sheet over you,
Mm-hmm.
so the second person would be carrying a lantern and carrying a bell, and the person carrying the body would see the light of the lantern, and he would walk toward the lantern, and the guy with the lantern and the bell also gives him instructions from watch out, there's a rock, step over the rock, stuff like that.
Okay.
This method was, however, used by smugglers.
Oh.
So they would smuggle goods around,
Oh yeah, of course.
disguised as this,
Yeah.
because, as I said, it's very bad to see a dead body, and could also be
Yeah.
Jiangxi.
No one would check.
Yeah, law enforcement would be afraid
Yeah.
to do their job at that time.
Yeah, I get it.
So, second vampire I want to show you
Oh.
is a Yarama Yao. Ne? Yarama Yao.
That sounds Chinese, I guess?
Sounds Japanese, it's actually Australian.
Oh,
So it's not that far off.
it's not that far. I mean,
Australia and
it's
Japan
a completely different language, but the countries are not that far off now.
How would you describe this?
Oh my god. Terrifying. I'm kind of getting Attack on Titan vibes,
Yeah,
in a way,
yeah,
but then it's like a Titan that is a frog
yeah.
with white markings.
It's
And it's-
actually a really tiny dude.
Oh, it's really tiny.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not a Titan then.
No,
Um,
it's not Titan then.
well thank god, I mean, Titan scared the shit out of me. Yeah, it's like a frog-like
Yeah,
human
that's the way it's
with
described.
yellowish eyes and like a pink, almost reddish body
Yeah.
with white markings and a gigantic belly button.
Yeah, this one has a gigantic belly button for some reason. That's correct. Also,
Oh, it also has only 4 fingers.
yeah, and it has suckers for at these fingertips.
Oh.
It looks really disgusting. So it resembles a little red frog-like man with a very big head, a large mouth with no teeth, and suckers at the end of their hands and their feet. They supposedly live in trees, and when a traveler rests under the tree, it drops down and uses its suckers to drain the victim's blood.
Oh my god.
So not like a vampire using its fangs or its teeth,
Yeah.
it sucks it through their fingers.
Ooh.
Afterwards, they swallow that person. For some reason, they drink some water and take a nap. When they awaken from their nap, they regurgitate the victim, so brings it back up,
Ew.
which leaves its victim a bit shorter than before.
Uh-huh.
The skin of the victim is also more reddish.
Yeah, okay.
This process is repeated several times, which transforms the victim into a Yara Mayahu
Oh my
themselves.
god, that's disturbing.
Yeah.
I'd rather be bitten in the neck than by a vampire. Just no.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan.
Not a fan. The next vampire I want to talk to you about is and I will say this name incorrectly, the Shiripe? Shiripe. Any inclination where it could be from?
Without looking to your screen.
Yeah. Without looking at my notes?
If you actually say like Shiripe,
Yeah.
it almost sounds French, like Shiripe.
Yeah. It's not.
It's not French. I mean, for a second I thought I was right again. I'm like, no, not again. Lost one, that's wrong too. No, I have no clue. Shiripe.
The Shiripe is a vampire witch from the region around the Godavari River in India.
Oh, India. Okay.
So it's an Indian. I will show you a picture of the Shiripe.
Mhm.
Just describe what you see.
Okay. Oh. What? Okay, so it's a tiger, except that one of his legs, I guess.
think it's her at this moment.
Yeah.
Because it's a vampire witch.
Okay, yeah, so one of the legs is a human leg with a
I think.
stocking.
Yeah, it's probably an exaggeration.
Yeah, it has a stocking and a heel, and it also has a striped tail, which...
It's normal for a tiger.
Yeah, but it's not like that striped, right?
Yeah.
It's like...
But if you would draw a tiger, you would probably draw it like this. It's like Shere Khan. Shere Khan also has a striped tail. Tiger from Mowgli.
Oh, is that his name? I
Yeah,
forgot.
Shere
Okay.
Khan.
Okay, could be. But yeah, he has a leg with a
Yeah.
human leg with a
So the
stocking.
Shiripe is the vampire witch from that region in India. I will come back to the whole tiger thing. It'll make sense in a bit.
Mhm.
So women who die an unnatural death, such as childbirth, suicide, and prostitutes, they can all become Shiripes.
Okay, wait. How is prostitution an unnatural?
Yeah.
Or... Huh? No, I'm confused.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't really say. Women who die an unnatural death and die in childbirth and suicide can become a Chiripe. Prostitutes can
it's-
also. It's sorry. I
Okay.
should have clarified it more. I'm sorry. It's late.
Okay.
So Chiripe is, I think, it's actually the Indian word for prostitute.
Oh.
Yeah, it
okay.
literally means prostitute.
Oh.
They are associated with. Oh boy, how do I say this? Devadasis. Devadasis. They were girls who were dedicated to a Hindu temple of a god, and they were often treated like temple prostitutes.
Temple prostitute.
Temple prostitutes. Hindu religion is different than Christianity.
Oh. Oh yeah.
We
probably,
can't look
but-
at it as we would look at Christianity.
Okay. Well,
It is apparently something that happens in
I have
Hindu.
no knowledge of Hinduism, so I cannot say anything.
Same as I. That's why I think it's normal,
Okay.
or should be more normal. Might be an uncommon thing, but
Okay.
a Shiripe is often seen as a naked woman riding a tiger, but she can also transform into a tiger.
That's kind of cool.
But she keeps one female leg. So that's why I showed you a picture of a
Ah.
tiger with a female leg.
Oh.
There are the only other picture I find of a Chiripe is just a hot woman vampire cosplay thing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's not really
There isn't much.
It is just
about it.
a woman.
Yeah.
It's just a woman.
So there are like no male vampires there.
No, a Chiripe is only female.
Huh.
A Chiripe will find a house, break into it, and put all the residents to sleep.
Okay.
She's a witch. Vampire witch, so. She then will suck the blood of all men in the house through their toes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, that would not be my choice of.
But you're not a Sheripe.
That's what you say.
The Sheripe will do this for multiple nights in a row until the victim is drained of blood. I have read that a Sheripe in some cases also has intercourse with the victim and will then feed on the resulting sadness and pain of this infidelity.
Okay, so that sounds. It literally sounds.
Yeah, but.
Like, let's not make women too powerful. Let's make them turn them into monsters.
Yeah, I really.
I mean,
it has a feeling of misogyny. It's females, prostitutes,
yeah.
closely related to temple prostitution, transforms into a tiger with a female leg.
It only attacks men.
It only attacks men. Yeah. But it's only in this region, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah. India is a big country.
India is a very big country, that's true. The next one, I think you will know.
Okay. Not gonna repeat
It's
it.
called a strigoi.
I have heard of that.
That's a name you should be familiar with.
Strigoi. I have heard of that.
Strigoi.
I cannot place it now.
Maybe you have seen the series. No, maybe you have seen the TV show The Strain.
The strain?
The Strain. Like a strain, like a virus strain.
I don't think so.
Strain. It's a show post-apocalyptic. They also have somewhere a cross between a vampire and a zombie, and they call it a strigoi. Yeah. That's if I looked into different vampires and I saw that name, I immediately knew it was, and I immediately thought about the thing.
I don't know it from there, but I do know the name. I just
There is maybe have you played the Witcher games?
No, but I've seen this series.
In the Witcher universe, there's a Striga, and a Striga is.
Striga, I know.
It's
from other.
It could be that you thought about that. Let me just show you a picture.
Yeah.
So, this is a Strigoi.
Oh, it looks like what? A Nosferatu in Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, it has Nosferatu vibes.
Yeah. So, to describe it, that was the point.
That's your job.
It's bald. It has pointy ears and extremely long fangs. Like, not the fangs you would normally see.
Yeah, normal air quotes vampires
yeah.
we know their canines are what is the fang.
Yeah, I guess that's. Yeah. So it's like the front tooth and the teeth.
Yeah.
Besides that as well.
Yeah, the two front teeth.
Yeah. His eyes are white, yellowish maybe, and very red around it.
Yeah.
And it's ugly. It's
Corpse-like.
It's really ugly. Sorry for that background.
So the Strigoi, they are troubled undead spirits from Romanian folklore. I didn't say where you thought it would be.
No,
doesn't matter. It's Romanian.
Well, I had no clue.
Strigoi can transform into animals, become invisible, and gain vitality through the consumption of human blood. So they are blood drinkers.
Yeah, okay.
One of the first historic mentions of a Strigoi was a man called Yuri Grando. He was a man who supposedly terrorized his village for 16 years after his death. I actually find a lot of parables between Grando and Count Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
So Grando lived in Croatia and Dracula lives in Transylvania.
Aha.
The distance between Transylvania, which is part of modern day Hungary, and Istria, which is where Grando was from, it's about 1,000 kilometers, which isn't that far from each other. Count Dracula is killed by decapitation and simultaneously being stabbed in the heart with a wooden stake. Grando is also decapitated.
Yeah.
Grando, however, was a simple man, a simple peasant.
Mm-hmm.
Count Dracula he's a count.
Yeah.
A Strigoi can be a man born under certain conditions. Born under certain conditions.
Okay, that's
So
interesting.
these conditions could be dying without being married.
Oh, I thought you meant... Okay.
And here we are again. A strigoi can be created.
I get what you mean.
So one of these conditions is dying without being married, committing suicide, dying by a witch curse, or being born the seventh child of the same sex in a family.
Oh, so for example, if
If
have
you
6 boys and you have a 7th boy,
Yeah.
that one
could become a strigoi.
after death then.
It's not really something that I found out if it was
Oh.
after death or the moment they are born. I presume that it's after death.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Yeah. What you see a lot with strigoi and with another example that I will have further on is that to prevent people from turning into a strigoi is they decapitated them and then buried them.
oh yeah,
Yeah, because a strigoi can be killed by decapitation, so
this sounds logical. I
Sounds
mean,
logical.
it's still a horrible thing to do, obviously, but I mean, it sounds logical that you would do that if that was real. Yeah.
the upir. What do you think about that? I am obviously saying the name incorrectly. Obviously.
Is it Swedish?
It isn't Swedish. It is European. It is from Slavic folklore.
That's not too far off. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Slavic? Yeah.
Slavic
Russian.
is... okay. Well, it's not that... It's not that far off.
It's not
It's
that far
close.
It's not that
It's
far
close. Okay, so again, I'm seeing a woman, and she's sitting on like the roots of a tree or something, or like standing over a hole near a tree.
I think in this particular picture she's crawling out of a hole.
Oh, she's crawling out of the hole. Oh, I thought that behind her was a leg.
And I think that it's not a hole, but should be a grave. Where the cat sits,
Yeah.
I think that's her gravestone.
Okay. Like I said, I'm not the brightest.
It isn't the first time I've seen this picture, so
Okay, so yeah, she's indeed maybe crawling out of her grave. And there's a cat and a bat, and she has a she has a very interesting facial expressions.
yeah, that is very well said, very
Yeah.
politely said.
That's what I was going for.
I think I also think the way her clothes fall on her, she looks a bit gaunt, very thin.
Yeah, exactly. And very extremely long hair.
Yeah, extremely long hair.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So as I said, the Upir is a demonic being from Slavic folklore. It is mostly seen as the prototype of the vampire.
Oh.
So where we get the whole vampire thing. The Upir drinks human blood. It uses their superhuman strength to tear its victims to shreds. They can also kill with their breath or by shrieking.
Oh.
People cursed before death could become an Upir, but there are also more, air quotes again, stranger people who could become an Upir, like redheads,
Oh.
people who are left-handed.
Oh, that's
So-
me.
Yeah, so we should be careful of you.
Oh no.
People who are limping,
Oh
people who had a unibrow,
no. No.
someone with...
Yeah, I don't know why
No.
you're looking so much
No.
at me, but it's
Because
not.
I have a unibrow, but I was glad you didn't notice.
No, I didn't.
I shave it off.
Okay.
Someone who had double sets of teeth.
Oh no.
It is something that
Yeah.
it happens. People
Okay.
can have more sets of teeth. It's rare. Someone with a gray mark on their back.
Huh? A grey mark?
A gray mark must be like a birthmark.
Oh,
But I don't really know what they mean with gray mark.
that's weird.
Could be something culturally.
Maybe.
That's not something I figured out. And someone who's religiously an other. Like, I think they specifically gave the example of a Lutheran, which is a different type of Christianity, like you say, a Protestant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A Christian, but not really a Christian.
Like not Catholic.
Yeah.
Are they Catholic in Russia?
That's a very good question. I believe they are. But it could be...
I think so. Or are they Protestant?
No, they're Catholic.
Are they?
They're Catholic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anyone.
Please, all our Russian listeners, we're sorry.
Yeah.
So, to prevent someone from becoming an upir, the corpse should not be carried out of the house via the front door, but should be taken out via a special exit.
Oh my god, just imagine building a house and be like, oh, we need a special
Yeah,
exit.
they made little doors
Oh
for
my god.
or like through a window or something. Couldn't leave the front door.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think that's very very special. It's upir is a very special type of vampire. Corpses were often buried with garlic in their mouth to prevent the resurrection. People suspected of being an upir were giving a vampire burial. You know what a vampire burial is?
Decapitation, stake, and burning?
Yeah, exactly. So the head would be cut off and put between the legs.
Mm-hmm.
And the corpse would be burned or nailed to the coffin or repositioned to lay face down. So if you would open the coffin up, you would see the back of the corpse.
Oh my god.
So this belief was that a corpse that would awaken would, because it's pointing downwards, it would be dragged down to hell.
Ah, okay. I get it now. I get
Yeah. And the upir or the Russian vampire, the Wurdulak, are the same vampire.
Oh, okay.
I was looking into the Wurdulak and it's synonymous.
Anonymous?
Synonymous.
Oh, I thought you said it's anonymous.
Anonymous, no, synonymous.
Okay, no, well, I've never heard of the Wurdulak before
the
either, so
Wurdulak.
no clue, doesn't ring a bell.
And then the last vampire I wanted to talk about, I'm not gonna say that, I'm gonna mispronounce it because it's gonna be like, is the Vrikolakas. The Vrikolakas.
Frikolakos, yeah, I don't think you can pronounce it any differently. No.
Where do you think that's from?
Norway.
No, it's a bit further. It's Greek.
Oh, so close.
It's yeah, so close. And this is the Vrikolac. Vrikolac.
Ooh.
Never mind. I'm gonna say it again.
Frikolak. I really don't think...
Vrikolakas.
Frikolakas.
Frikolakas.
Oh, it still had some letters. So it's kind of the Nosferatu type again. Balls, very pointy ears. Can't really see the teeth, but probably very large fangs again.
Yeah.
It's very muscular actually. Or is it like, not
I
muscular.
think it's very skinny, which
Yeah.
makes it muscular.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It doesn't look muscular as in buffed, but as in the skin is ripped off and it's the muscle that you see. That's what. I was thinking of the Titan again.
You and the Titan, yeah. It's also grey.
Yeah, grayish.
Yeah, it's the tint of its skin is grey, which is also very weird. Yeah, greyish. Greyish.
It has a bit of red.
So, it's from Greek folklore. A huge difference between a regular vampire and a Vrikolakas is that the Vrikolakas primarily eats human flesh.
Ah.
Yeah. Specifically the liver.
Huh.
But I've also
That's
heard
interesting.
that they eat like the heart and other organs. But it prefers organs. Specifically the liver.
I don't know if that has anything to do with like what
Mercy?
I told, but with Mercy because
Yeah, that's what, once you started talking about Mercy and the whole
livers
liver and
organs.
heart,
Uh-huh.
that's what I thought immediately.
Okay. Okay.
So the Greek believed that someone became a Vrikolakas if they lived a sacrilegious life. Sacrilegious is against the church.
Okay.
Um,
Pagans.
someone who was pagans, yeah. someone who was excommunicated
Mhm.
if they were buried in unconsecrated ground. So
Is that like unholy ground or something?
no, it's not holy ground. Not unholy, but a consecrated ground is a graveyard. A graveyard is consecrated. If you would bury them outside of a graveyard, that's not
okay,
consecrated
I
ground.
get it.
Or if someone ate meat from a sheep that was bitten by a wolf or werewolf. I don't know what's with all these vampires and their so specific
Yeah, that's really
way of
specific.
becoming a vampire or killing a vampire.
That's actually kind of crazy. Like, how
It comes back in every one of these.
how did they come up with, like, how did they get evidence to say, like, oh, that was it?
I think there is a certain way of thinking. I think it's called, I don't really know what the name of it is. I know it's a thought experiment they did with pigeons,
Oh.
and they gave pigeons, they put them in a box and they gave them a little reward,
Mhm.
which is normally something you do if they do a task, and then you give them a reward. What they did with these pigeons was they didn't give them a task, and they just gave the reward at random. And the pigeons started doing these elaborate dances and these elaborate things because they thought if I started simple, they tapped their feet 3 times maybe,
Yeah, okay.
which gave them a reward just coincidentally. Then this process kept going on and on and
Yeah.
on, and these pigeons did crazy little dances and crazy little maneuvers.
I'm thinking of my dog when we teach him a new
Trick?
command
Yeah,
trick.
new trick.
He doesn't understand it quite fully. He will do
Yeah.
every trick that he does know
Yeah.
just to get that
Yeah.
trait. Is basically
It is.
It's kind of like
it's
that.
along
yeah.
those lines.
Okay.
So what I think about the sheep meat is that perhaps like a huge elaborate thought process. Someone thought, wait, how he died? But what's so special about his death? Oh, he ate some sheep. Oh, well, I've also eaten sheep. That's not that bad. But he died. That sheep was attacked by a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the sheep I ate wasn't attacked by a wolf. I'm still alive and he isn't, so that could be it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thought process behind it. That's so weird.
And I mean, obviously, it must have been a werewolf. 'cause duh.
Obviously. Avricolakas does not decay, but they swell with the amount of meat they consume.
Ooh.
So the Avricolakas you saw was very gaunt, very skinny.
Yeah.
Normally, the more they eat, the bigger they become. And the stronger they become.
Interesting.
A Vrikolaka knocks on people's door at night. So there is a superstition in certain Greek villages that you can only open a door at the second knock, because a Vrikolaka only knocks once.
Oh.
The body of the Vrikolakas should be destroyed by exorcism, beheading, and then burning the suspected corpse.
Okay, through burning.
Yeah, I don't really know how exorcism with a corpse, how it goes. I only know about exorcisms with living people, and not with dead people, but
I mean,
presumably
they
it's something
probably
you
thought
can
it
do.
was like a demon that took possession of the
Yeah.
dead body.
Yeah, probably demon residing
Yeah.
into the body. This process can only be done on Saturday though. Yeah, because that's the only day the Vikolaka rests.
That's extremely specific.
I'm telling you, there's so many specific little rules.
We caught the Vikolakas. Oh, but sorry guys, it's Wednesday.
No,
This will have to wait till Saturday.
let's just wait for 3 more days. And remember guys, only if they knock twice can you open the door.
Oh my god.
It's such a weird thing.
And just imagine Halloween like. Oh my god, no, they only knock once. Oh no, a trick or treat, haha, it was a joke.
No, it's I think it was very interesting. these
Yeah,
awfully
it's-
specific
It's extremely
circumstances.
interesting. I can use this as research for my book.
Okay. These very, very, very specific
Yes.
conditions. Yeah, why not? Why the hell not? And that was actually the last vampire I wanted to talk about.
Okay. Well, I still haven't noticed.
No.
I don't have anything.
No.
This has been so long again. Oh my god.
Okay, Rei, the vampires was an interesting
Yeah,
experience to research this.
exactly. I don't think they're real.
Yeah. I'm
I
not,
don't
I'm
know
not
if that
really...
was a question.
No,
but
it wasn't really a question, but I'm happy that you are so forthcoming and want to tell me that you don't think that vampires
No.
are real.
No.
I think the modern day vampire is probably just a amalgamation of different cultures.
There is a type of modern vampire that is real, though. They're called energy vampires. Do you know them?
Ah, you mean like a person that sucks all your
Yeah.
energy out because they're so obnoxious and boring?
Not exactly because they're obnoxious and boring. Like they could do it
Or just
without
a party
even
killer?
notice. No, not
No?
even that. They could do it without even knowing. And I tend to avoid these kind of people, even if they're like the best people in the world. Like I'm sorry, like it's just people that, like they could be the nicest persons out there, but there's something about them that just sucks like your energy so much. Like it drain. Like you can spend an entire day with them and feel like you've literally exercised for 3 hours. That's even if they didn't specifically do anything. It's like a thing.
The only vampire I know about is vampire bats. No, the look in your eyes, you know, it's a
Like-
bat that
Oh yeah. Okay.
it lands on horses in the middle of the night and
Aw.
bites horses and drinks their blood.
Aw. Does it kill them?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's this big.
Maybe it should be a giant group of bats.
No,
like,
no. No, and a horse has a lot of blood in it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I actually don't.
I
But
think-
I guess. I
yeah.
guess.
And I think with that statement, the horses have a lot of blood in them statement, we can end the podcast maybe.
Probably, yeah, indeed.
So thanks everyone for listening.
Yes.
I
thank
hope you
so much.
enjoyed it.
Indeed. If you know about any other type of vampire, like one that is from wherever you are, please let us know. We
Yeah.
would love to feature that in a future episode.
Yeah, we're
and
very
in our
interested
Instagram
in that.
page. Make sure to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, exactly. You can find us at TheyComeBeforeDawn, except on Twitter is TheyComeBeforeDawn, so
DFR.
DFR, because the name was too long. You can also send us an email on TheyComeBeforeDawnPod@gmail.com, because the name was too short.
Yeah.
And
Every single social media platform we're on, we also have a Linktree link, which will have all our different social medias on it.
yeah, that's, you take care of that. I actually didn't even know Linktree was existed. I didn't know, but
Oh. Okay.
Okay, I think we can end the night here because it's getting pretty late. I'm pretty sure you are tired too.
Yeah.
Hope you can still sleep after these stories. And hope you tune in for the next episode, which will
Yeah.
air in 2 weeks. And
Yeah, we have a 2-week schedule
yes, exactly.
at the moment.
If you haven't noticed it by now.
Because we find that the research that we do, we sort of tend to make
Well, and-
longer episodes than what we thought we were
Yeah.
going to do. We thought that we were going to make episodes 45 to an hour long.
Exactly. It has been a little longer.
Yeah, it has been a little longer, as you can see.
For me, that's totally fine,
I think so as well.
but not too much longer.
No, not too much longer. It's something that's not capable. Well, we're not capable to do that on a weekly basis.
No,
Yes.
no.
If we will make shorter episodes, we might.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
it's
but-
not. You guys don't really need to worry yourselves about it. It's something for us.
Exactly.
Okay, so thanks for listening.
Have a great night, and till the next one.
In the next episode of They Come Before Dawn.
After the death of her husband, a widow decided to build a mansion. Using her vast wealth, She built it for herself and her visitors. She kept building room after room, stairways leading to nowhere, doors opening to nothing, a horizontal elevator. Oh, and her visitors? They were ghosts. In the next episode, we will be talking about the Winchester House.